All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate everyone taking the time to be here this evening. Thanks for supporting our women's basketball program, but also being here to welcome our new soccer coach, Katie Hultin. Before I get into my comments and talk a little bit about the process and Katie, first want to take a chance to spend a few minutes and talk about Janet Rayfield. First chance I've had to be in front of you all since Janet announced her retirement. She has been an absolute rock for this athletic program for over 2 decades, concludes a 23-year career as the head soccer coach here at the University of Illinois. And I just can't say enough about who she is and the difference that she has made in not only the lives of her student athletes, but on this entire athletic department. She has been such a strong, experienced, sound voice in the head coach room, and that room matters a lot in college athletics, and we spend a lot of time with that group. We really work hard to cultivate those relationships, and she was just always such a thoughtful voice, and we'll miss her very much in that role. To see the impact that she's had on our student athletes, on generations of student athletes, I think is just the greatest legacy that any coach could ever hope to leave. And having had the chance to meet not only, of course, our current team, but now 9 years of teams, and to have the opportunity to interact with some of our alumni when they come back for reunions, it's just so evident the impact that she has made and the ongoing relationship that she enjoys with those alumni. And so would be remiss if I didn't spend just a few moments at the outset here today thanking her publicly for who she is and the incredible legacy that she has left on this program. And certainly will miss her, but I know that she leaves with great confidence, of course, having worked with Katie about the future direction of the program, and knowing what a great foundation she has laid for our future successes. And so I want to thank her and certainly wish her the best as she transitions, and look forward to following her in what I know will be a really dynamic next chapter. So that's just who she is, and she won't have it any other way. I also want to thank our student athletes. Transition is hard, and I've done this for a long time. I've been through a lot of coaching searches. You know, that period of uncertainty can be very difficult on a team, especially in this day and age with the transfer portal being what it is, and all the different voices that can sometimes be in the ears of our student athletes. And I really admire this group whenever we meet with athletes to talk through these periods. I really put it back on them, and I emphasize that this is a time for you to come together. It's a time for your leaders to step forward. And I thought that our group in this instance did that in a very exemplary way. Just the patience that they showed. This process took a little bit longer than some of the other searches that we have undertaken, and we warned them that it might, because good coaches coach good teams, and they continue to play deep into the postseason as Katie's team did, and so that takes some more time. We warned them that might happen, but they were incredibly patient. They came in, they spent time with me, they spent time with Marty Kaufman, our sport administrator, talked about the program, talked about their vision for where they wanted it to go. One thing they did that no team I've ever worked with had done before, they created a video on their own initiative that they asked me to pass along to candidates, sort of introducing themselves to potential coaches. And I didn't show that to any candidates until I showed it to Katie, because I really wanted that to be something special that our new head coach would have with the team. But the fact that they took the initiative to do that, I think speaks volumes about who they are, how excited they are about the future of this program, and their commitment to seeing Illinois soccer grow and develop. And so I want to say very publicly to them how grateful I am for their great leadership and for their patience and trust as we've gone through this process. Also want to give a quick shout out to Marty Kaufman and Sarah Burton, our two sport administrators who were actively involved in this search. These are processes that take a long time to plan and to execute. They always take some twists and turns that you don't expect, and they're a huge part of ultimately what becomes a recruiting process, is the opportunity to work very closely on a day-to-day basis with our sport administration team, and Marty and Sarah are just the best in the business at what they do, and they manage this process in a very professional, efficient way, and I'm just really honored to continue to be colleagues with them and to have them involved in the way that they are in everything connected to our program. Just talk briefly about the process. As I told our student athletes, this would be one of the most attractive positions in the country for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost being them, knowing that they are our strongest ambassadors, knowing the commitment again that they have made to this place. And I was right. We received tremendous interest in the vacancy, as you might imagine. New facility, Big Ten Conference, being located where we are, connected to such a great university like Illinois. And so it was a really dynamic process for us, chance to visit with a lot of really talented coaches. But we identified Katie as someone who we were interested in early on. She was still coaching, and so we kind of kept ourselves a little bit in the background until it was appropriate to reach out to her. And the things that were most interesting to us about her, as we looked through the profile that we developed in this position, was great familiarity with the Big Ten. Of course, some of that experience happened here on our campus. That wasn't a prerequisite, but certainly is a nice additional benefit when you can have that connection to the place, that familiarity with our institution, with our program, but also now having spent time at the University of Oregon, which of course was not part of the Big Ten when she was there, but gives her that familiarity, as well as an extended tenure at the University of Michigan. So she had great familiarity with soccer being played at the highest level. She's been a sitting head coach, had tremendous success. Grand Valley State, for those of you who may not follow it on a regular basis, is probably the strongest Division II women's soccer program in the country. Two of their former coaches are also coaching in the Big Ten. If you're tracking the head coach at Michigan State, the head coach at Iowa, both were hired directly from Grand Valley State. And so there is a bit of a pipeline into the Big Ten from their school and arising from their soccer tradition. And she has left her own imprint on that program in a relatively short period of time, with an incredible amount of success, conference championship, postseason access, deep runs in the NCAA tournament. I think all spoke to the background that she has, the way that she trains her team. And then it really comes down to the conversations. It comes down to the interactions you have. And from the very first conversation I had with Katie, I was impressed with her competitiveness, with her intensity. At this level, it's hard, and it requires a sort of a next level motor. And the more of these searches that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of, the more I appreciate seeing that motor revealed in candidates and in potential coaches, and Katie clearly has that. At the same time, she's able to find that balance point with the modern athlete, where they want a relationship. Their empathy matters to them, relationships matter to them, and so it was clear that she is able to strike that balance between being highly motivated, highly competitive, being able to hold her student athletes to a standard of excellence, while at the same time being able to put her arm around the athletes, to build a relationship, to have rapport away from the soccer field. And I think that really is part of the secret sauce in being a successful coach in today's environment. And it was evident not only from the conversations that we were able to have with her, but from the conversations we were able to have about her with other people. And we always have the chance to do that as well. And to hear the way others talked about her was really impressive, and made us all that much more excited about her candidacy to join us here at Illinois. So I just can't say enough good things about her, and incredibly excited about the future of this program. We have committed to her that we will be investing at a championship level in women's soccer. We see this as a program that is kind of next on our list of programs that we want to see accelerate, that we believe can move forward in terms of Big Ten and national profile and competition success. And so as we got into our discussions around what the future looks like, certainly finding the right leader is the first and most important part of that process. But as we start to transition into a new paradigm of college athletics, we want to make sure that we're putting soccer in a very strong position to be successful and arming Katie with the tools that she will need to go out and recruit, retain, and develop the best student athletes in the country to wear the orange and blue. And so those were all parts of our conversation, and really grateful to her and to her family for trusting us, for believing in what we're doing here at the University of Illinois and sharing in our vision for what we believe can become a championship soccer program here for the Fighting Illini. And so without further ado, I give you our new soccer coach, Katie Hultin.
Well, thank you, Josh, Sarah, Marty, for believing in me. This is, I think, a dream come true for me, but the belief and the support throughout this process has been incredible, and also just welcoming my family into the Illini family. So, you know, I am so excited to be back. Kind of where it all began, at least one of my first big stops. So, thrilled to be back. It's been a whirlwind. Literally just got off the field on Saturday after a PK shootout loss. So I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my Grand Valley athletes who have been such an incredible part of my journey. All such special people, and the administration there was also second to none. So really grateful for that experience I had for the last few years, and really excited for this next chapter.
Okay. Like always in basketball, raise your hand here when you have a question. We'll get the mics around to you. We'll start with questions for Coach, and then we'll circle back to Josh here after.
Okay, Scott Ritchie with the Champaign News Gazette. Is it any easier following Janet having been here a couple of years before?
Yeah, I think so. I think having a familiarity with Champaign itself, sort of the academic prowess of the university, knowing everything about the university, or a lot about the university, that'll help with the recruiting side of things. Janet also taught me a lot. I think that's also a big piece of it, is she was a huge mentor of mine, is a huge mentor of mine. So easier or harder, I don't know, but I think she's been such a big part of my growth, that I think this is a next step for me that I feel really comfortable in because of mentors like Janet and the foundation that she's laid. So really grateful for the foundation that she's laid here, and I only hope to carry on her legacy.
Zeno Joe from the Illini Inquirer. Still early, but have you had time to think about maybe formation or style that you want to implement into this team?
I'd say I'm a very possession-oriented coach. In talking to the team, I think they're very excited about that. Formations is very personnel-based, in my opinion, so got to evaluate the team a little bit more, see what our strengths are, and really put us in a formation that puts all of our strengths on the field in the right spot. So it's going to take some time to evaluate the talent that we have and see what we might need to bring in.
Coach, back here, Glenn Kinley, WCIA. I was wondering if you could tell us about that video that you got to see of the players that you're now going to be coaching.
Yeah, that was incredible. Josh said it. It really was great that they took the initiative to put that together, and it inspired me. You know, you think about how you want to build a program, and obviously I want to build on the foundation that has been laid here, and in thinking about it, I know that this program is poised for greatness. But when you see that video, and really it was all about their guiding principles. It was inspiring, and I really want to honor their guiding principles, and I want to build on those guiding principles, and I want to evolve those guiding principles. And I talked to him last night about how we want to live through those guiding principles, and I gave him a quote of, "You never know how important a moment is until it becomes a memory." So really trying to take advantage of every moment and living through those principles, playing with passion for that eye on our chest, and being brave and disciplined in everything that we do, and then competing. They want to compete, and I want to compete, and I love to win. So we're going to compete. We're going to compete in the classroom. We're going to compete on the recruiting trail. We're going to compete in training. We're going to compete in games. We're going to compete for Big Ten championships. And our eyes are going to be set on a national championship someday, but we're going to compete, and I think they're really excited about living through those guiding principles and making those memories.
Katie, Joey Wagner with Holine Inquirer. I'm curious if you could share what Janet meant to you, and you said one of your first big stops. So how important has she been in your coaching process?
Pivotal. I was in a point in my career where I knew I wanted to take a big leap into a full-time coaching position, and one of my dreams was to become a head coach of a big program like this. And so when I was ready to take that leap, I was living in Seattle, and Janet gave me the opportunity to get on campus and interview, and ultimately gave me the opportunity to work for her. And that was the beginning of this journey, really. And she taught me so much in those 2 years. So I am so grateful for the opportunity she gave me 10 years ago. So grateful for the amount that I learned while I was working for her, and then just following her career over the course of the last few years, and continuing to have her as a mentor, I think is just so important. She's been a pioneer for women in coaching as well, so I look up to her. I'm grateful for her, and I'm also just so thankful and grateful for the foundation she's laid here.
When you first got here, you made an instant impact on defense. I guess, is that maybe an emphasis you put on teams you coach?
I think I'm really disciplined in terms of, I want our team to be very disciplined in how we defend. And the more disciplined you are, the more collective you are, the higher you can press upon the field, which creates more goal scoring opportunities. So yes, I'm defensive minded, but I would actually flip that and say I'm just really protective. Really protective of our goal. I want to score more goals. I almost think I'm a little more attacking minded, but just really protective of the goal. So in order to make sure that we don't concede goals, we're going to be very disciplined in how we defend and very organized. It'll be a really big focus for us.
How did your stops after Illinois maybe inform who you are now as a coach now that you're back?
Yeah, I think, I started out as a goalkeeper coach, but always very passionate about being an overall team coach. And I would say a lot of people might say that my moves have been rather calculated, but it was really taking advantage of any opportunity that I had to help myself grow as a coach. So from Illinois, I went to Oregon, and at Oregon had a lot more responsibility with the team. So that's exactly what I felt like I needed to continue to grow as a coach. And then went on to Michigan, where I was no longer coaching goalkeepers and was the associate head coach, and really very team facing and working with them every single day. So again, very calculated in how I kind of grew through my career. And then, Grand Valley, I always said that I didn't think I would leave Michigan. I really liked Michigan at the time and really liked who I was working for, and I really didn't think I would leave unless I could go somewhere where I could potentially win a national championship. And when Grand Valley came a-knocking, I knew that was probably the right stop, because they win and I love to win. So it was a place where I could go and continue to grow as a coach and take on that head coaching role and compete for championships. And we did that. But I think throughout my whole career, each step along the way has helped me grow in different ways as a coach and set me up for this.
Coach, Sammy St. Jean, News Channel 20. You both mentioned Big Ten championships, national championships. Again, you're still probably going to figure out what it takes in general to get that, but in your eyes as you're coming in here, what does it take to reach those two levels that you guys both mentioned?
It's going to take a lot, I think, but I think we have a lot of the talent here, and I think we're going to be able to recruit great talent. I mean, look at the investments that Josh was saying they're going to make into the program, the investments that have already been made with immersion. It's incredible, right? If you have the right people, you have the right facilities, you have the right support, you can bring in the talent. And you can tell I'm fired up about that, right? And I think we bring in the talent and we build off what we have right now. You're poised for greatness. We get the right talent in here and build off what we have. Big Ten championships are right around the corner. I'm truly fired up about it because there's not a whole lot of places that have facilities like this, support like Josh was talking about, and the people, right? You look at the facilities, but look at the people around the facilities. That was also what made this a no-brainer. The people at Illinois are phenomenal, and that is something I'm really excited about.
Did you talk with Janet at all as you went through the interview process, or, I mean, have you, I assume you've spoken with her
Oh yeah,
afterwards?
went to dinner a couple times. Yeah, we've talked to her before I made the decision, picked her brain a little bit about what she thought it would take to be successful here, and maybe what my challenges might be, but also, you know, just talked about the excitement behind it all, and you know, spent some time too just thanking her for being a huge part of my journey, and then spoke with her yesterday as well, after I had accepted the job, and she was there when I was introduced to the team. So yeah, I've definitely been in touch with her quite a bit.
Curious what this last week or so has been like. I mean, you mentioned going deep into the postseason, and like, I guess, well, what's it been like from that perspective? And did you have a sense that maybe you were at a point career-wise where opportunities like this would be available?
I always kind of talk about, like, I like to win, right? But I also think of win as what's important now. So I've been always very focused on what's important now, not looking too far into the future, especially when I'm in the middle of season. So, you know, we were pretty deep into season when Josh called, and he was very respectful about just letting me get through season. And, you know, we had sort of talked about, you know, when season ended, we would take a trip down here. But yeah, it's been a wild ride this last week or so. Again, was in Minnesota on Saturday, playing in the Elite Eight. Unfortunately, lost in a PK shootout, and I was on a plane with my entire family on Sunday morning, welcomed with open arms by Josh and his family, and Sarah and Marty, and you know, we left on Monday, and I accepted the job on Tuesday and came here on Wednesday. So it's been a wild ride, but you know, I'm incredibly excited for it, and really happy to be here.
Josh mentioned the commitment to the resources to making this program successful. I guess what was, for you, what's the value to knowing that that backing is there and present, and how attractive does that make this opportunity?
I think when you look at the Power Four and you look at the Big Ten, you have to compete, and you have to be at a program that is investing in the student athletes as much as Illinois is going to invest in order to be successful. Because again, you need the backing, you need the financial support to bring in the best talent and to attract the best talent. So I think that was a huge, huge piece of why this made so much sense. Is, yeah, I think we all want to coach in the Big Ten, but you want to coach at a place that the administration and this university is pouring support into the athletes, and it's really evident that Josh and administration care so much about the student athlete and the student athlete experience. So, I mean, it was really, there was no way I could turn it down because of the amount of support that they're pouring in. I think we're going to be able to make these student athletes, you know, great, and they're going to all have a wonderful experience when we get here.
Yes. Beyond meeting the team, do you have a feel for maybe the group that you've inherited, sort of like who they are on the field?
I watched quite a bit of Illinois soccer this last fall. I've watched a little bit in the last 24 hours. I have a decent idea. I'm getting to know them individually right now, so personality-wise, slowly getting to know them. But I think there's a lot of talent. I think we got to put the pieces together, but I think there's a lot of talent that we have currently, and I do know there's a lot of talent coming in the incoming freshmen. So really excited to get to work with all of them when January rolls around.
And we're getting close to game time upstairs, but anything for Josh before we wrap this up?
I guess an investment in soccer, I mean, is that just revenue share, or are there other things that you have maybe targeted that can help the program?
Well, I think investment could come in a lot of different ways, and you know, without sharing a lot of details. There are a lot of different levers you can pull. Certainly the investment we make directly in Katie, the investment we make in her staff, and the opportunity we provide her to bring people together to support her. The investment in this new world could come in the form of scholarships. It could come in the form of revenue sharing. Could come in the way that we travel our team, the way that we support them in their training and some of their needs. So there are a number of different avenues where that investment could get channeled. And so we've talked in more specifics about what some of that could look like, and have a lot of confidence that, again, it will give her a full bag of tools as she heads out on the road to move this program forward.
Yes, Josh, I remember when you hired Shauna, there was a similar postseason run you had to kind of wait through, and similar here. So how do you handle that as the person leading a hiring process when you need to find a coach, but also those kind of timelines out of your control there?
Very impatiently. It's you know, it's tough because I don't, as you've seen from me and some other searches, I don't like to leave these seats open for long. I think it lends instability to the program, and as I mentioned, in this era of the transfer portal, it just gives our student athletes more opportunities to think about other things. And but you never want to. What I always say is you never want to sacrifice quality for speed. And so as we zeroed in on Katie, you know, by the deeper she got, the further I wanted her to go. You know, at some point it's like, well, shoot, at this point, just go win the whole thing. And how exciting would that be for everybody? But you know, we were going to support her, and glad that they were able to advance as far as they did. And again, it goes back to our student athletes. I just really appreciate their patience and their willingness to trust us and really come together during that transitional window to make sure the program stays solid while we were waiting on Katie's arrival.
Coach, back here, what was your pitch to Katie on why she should come back to Champaign, and maybe did it help that she had been here before and you didn't have to tell her everything about the University of Illinois?
I think it probably did help. Yeah, I think that especially for someone from the West, and she's a native of Denver. She spent a lot of time at Washington State, obviously in Seattle, Oregon. If she hadn't been here, she probably wouldn't have had much occasion to come. And so glad that she had been here and did have some familiarity, both with Janet and with the university. I think certainly was helpful in advancing our conversations. You know, in terms of how we pitch something like this to her, we're fortunate at this point. We have a little bit of a track record. You know, we've been able to go out and move some programs forward in a fairly successful way. And you look at whether it's football, men's basketball, women's track and field. Last year, of course, won a Big Ten championship. And so there's some programs that maybe weren't in the most successful position that are now competing at a much higher level. And so we're able to point to those programs and say, look, we can do this. We know how to build a successful program, and it starts with the person in the head coaching chair. And so that was central to our conversations. And we want to give her a chance to meet some of those other coaches. And so when she was here, we wanted to make sure she had the chance to spend time with Shauna Green, with Brett Bielema, with Brad Underwood, to learn about their experience. We want her to hear from their voices what this transition looks like. And when Josh and Sarah and Marty say, here are the 3 or 4 things we're going to do we actually follow through and do those 3 or 4 things? And you know, we're in a position, thankfully, where I think those conversations are positive. I think those coaches feel good about the support that they've received. And I think they believe that we follow through on the commitments that we've made. And so that helps really bolster our pitch, if you will, in these conversations. And at the end of the day, we wanted, again, we're trying to find world-class competitors. And in my conversations with Katie, it became evident that she was a world-class competitor. World-class competitors want a path. You know, they want a path to win at the highest level, and that's the thing they're evaluating more than anything else. Is this a place where I can win at the highest level? And so our job is to make sure it's a clear path, that path exists and that it is free of obstacles. And where there are obstacles, we ask Katie to help us identify what they are, and then we'll work together to try and remove them. And so we've had really productive discussions, and I think she sees in this place championship potential, and ultimately that's our goal, and we're aligned around that and our commitment to trying to make that happen.